Check this out, listeners. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast, and let me explain how. First of all, it's free. And secondly, there's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more platforms. You can make money from your podcast also with no minimum listenership. Lastly, it's everything that you need to make a podcast in one place. So download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
This episode contains situations of graphic violence. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome to Black History 365 The Throwdown, a series where I explain, educate, and explore historical events, unsung black figures in world history, and recount the struggles and triumphs of black people worldwide. I'm your host, Yusuf Fursi, and in this episode, I'll be presenting a horrific story that is one of the most recognizable crimes in America's racist history. I remember watching a Dave Chappelle special, one of the ones he had a few years back when he made his comeback, and near the end, he brought up a true crime story that was the fuel that ignited the civil rights movement, and that was the murder of Emmett Till. The date is August 28th, 1955, and 14-year-old Emmett Till, an African-American kid from Chicago, was brutally murdered for allegedly flirting with a white woman 4 days earlier. His assailant, the white woman's husband, and his brother forced Till to carry a 75-pound cotton gin fan to the bank of the Tallahatchie River and ordered him to take off his clothes. Following that, the two men then proceeded to beat Till nearly to death, gouged out his eyes, shot him in the head, and then threw his body tied to the cotton gin fan with barbed wire into the river. Till grew up in a working-class neighborhood in Southside Chicago, and though he attended a segregated elementary school, he was ill-equipped for the level of segregation he would encounter in Mississippi. Till would receive warnings from his mother to be careful when embarking the Deep South due to his race. Emmett was an upbeat kid and liked pulling pranks, but a place like Mississippi back then had no tolerance for his expressive nature. On August 24th, 1955, while standing with his cousins and some friends outside a county store in Money, Mississippi, Till was acting braggadocious, saying that his girlfriend back home was white. His friends, all young black boys, disbelieved him and dared Emmett to ask the white woman sitting behind the store counter for a date. He went in, bought some candy, and on his way out was heard saying "bye baby" to the woman. Interestingly enough, there were no witnesses in the store, but Carol Bryant, the woman behind the counter, claimed that he grabbed her and made lewd advances towards her and topped it off with the wolf whistle at her as he walked out the store. It was his word against hers if her accusations were to ever go to court against Till. But things escalated quickly before any truth was ever to be discovered. Roy Bryant, the owner of the store and the woman's husband, returned from a business trip a few days later. He was informed how Emmett had allegedly spoken to his wife. Irate, he went to the home of Till's great uncle, Moses Wright, with his half-brother, J.W. Milam, in the early mornings of August 28th. The pair demanded to see the boy. Despite pleas from Wright, they forced Emmett into the car. They drove around in the night and took their time torturing Till in a tool house behind Milam's residence. Thereafter, they drove him down to the Tallahatchie River. It was 3 days later that Till's corpse was recovered, but he was so disfigured beyond recognition that only his great uncle, Moses Wright, could identify him by an initial ring Till wore. Authorities wanted to bury the body quickly, but Till's mother, Mamie Bradley, requested it to be sent back to Chicago. After his mother saw the mutilated remains, she decided to have an open casket funeral so that the world could see what the racist murderers did to her son. Jet, an African American weekly magazine, published a photo of Till's corpse, and soon the mainstream media picked up the story. Furthermore, less than 2 weeks after Till's body was buried, Milam and Bryant went on trial in a segregated courthouse in Sumner, Mississippi. Other than Moses Wright, there were a few witnesses who could positively identify the defendants as Till's killers. On September 23, 1955, the all-white jury deliberated for less than an hour before issuing a verdict of not guilty, explaining that the reason they came to that decision was that they believed the state had failed to prove the identity of the body. Subsequently, many people around the country were outraged by the decision, and also by the state's decision not to indict Milam and Bryant on the separate charge of kidnapping. The Emmett Till murder trial brought to light the brutality of Jim Crow segregation in the South. It was the early catalyst of the civil rights movement. In 2017, Tim Tyson, the author of the book The Blood of Emmett Till, revealed that Carol Bryant recanted her testimony, admitting that Till never touched her, threatened, nor harassed her. She went on to quote saying that nothing that boy did could ever justify what happened to him. And this concludes this episode. For more information on this podcast, you can check out my blog site at realfreeflowingwords.blog and click on the tab Black History 365 for more information. The show is made possible by Anchor, which is providing a great and easy-to-use service for new and seasoned podcasters. If you enjoy listening and learning something new from the show, then make sure to subscribe on Spotify so you can stay up to date with my future episodes. Be sure to tune in every Tuesday and Friday for new episodes. On the next episode, I'll be presenting the story of Ruby Bridges, a young girl who lived in New Orleans and through her courageous mindset and bravery helped desegregate schools in the South. So stay tuned for that. Remember that Black history should be learned about and celebrated every day, and not just in 28 days. So stay educated, and thank you for listening. I'm your host, Yusuf Hersey, and until the next time, peace.